Welcome back to Unpaid Film Critic. I would say I watched American Psycho like twice, and it's a really good film, and I will be reviewing it. So the film is directed by Mary Harron, and it's based on the book American Psycho, and it talks mainly about Patrick Bateman, played by Christian Bale, and it's very interesting because Christian Bale's performance in this film is super expressionless and very how we always put on masks when we work and we don't show emotion. When I say we, I mean men. The idea that this film really spoke to me, how the problems that men have to put on this face of just pure, like, rigor and just work and work and work and not stopping, and how it affects men and young boys because it makes everyone wanting to be. And the reason why I talk about this is because I think that this is an issue within as someone as you can see, I'm a man and I do identify as he, if you were wondering. But how does that pay into it? Well, in my eyes, this is all from me, okay? So I'm not speaking for all men, I'm just speaking for me, myself, and I. That's all. But what I'm trying to say is that this film really spoke to me in saying that the issues of men making on how we're all competitive to see who is the manliest man, who has the best. And in this film, they basically compare business cards, and it's like, and you could see everyone trying to say, oh, who has the best card, who has the best stuff, and that's men comparing each other, seeing them they're better than each other. And it gets annoying really fast because I've been in those situations, and I have to be like, why is it that men always have to be like that? I find that an issue. I watched American Psycho twice, and the idea that they have to say, oh, but I can get this. I'm super cool because I'm able to get this reservation at this restaurant for this week. Oh, well, I don't go to that restaurant. I go to this restaurant. It's much better. It's like they compare restaurants, they compare their clothes. It's kind of like hard in my language, but they're kind of showing off who has a bigger stick. And if you know what stick means, you can understand what I'm basically saying. And that's where it is. And the film is wonderfully directed, especially when Willem Dafoe plays Detective Donald, and he's interviewing Christian Bale about the missings of Paul Allen, Jared Leto's character, and yeah. And the way they shot it is super interesting because they shot it, and if you're wondering, this movie is 2000, and it's really well done, and you just see, and they edited it really well with like different takes of Willem Dafoe not expecting him of involved with Paul Allen, him knowing he's guilty of doing something to Paul Allen, or he thinks he has something to do with Paul Allen. And the way they edited it together in that one interview was very much like, oh my god, it's true. That was one of the things why I loved about the editing was that, and also the script was fantastic. I read the script along with it, and they've changed some scripts. Yeah, I mean, this one really talks about the problems with masculinity and how it makes a hardship on men, in my mind, for me. Just as someone as if you've seen me in real life, not just looking at the camera. The idea is that I tend not to try to be like, I've been struggling with that because how do you live with the fact that this is what society wants you to do? And I see that a lot when people say, oh, women, Hollywood justifies women because of over-sexuality. I'm like, yeah, but they also do that with men. Look at a man. whenever do you see a man in Hollywood, in any photo that Hollywood takes, they're always wearing a really fancy suit, or they're showing off, or it's like, or they're showing off like their six packs or something. It feels like Hollywood objectifies everyone, and everyone's fighting over who's more objectified, instead of we all should just come together as a unionized. And that's what I think what Hollywood's doing. Now you're asking me, oh, you're just you're you don't know what to talk about because you're talking about how men have problems. I'm like, no. What I'm saying is, my problems with the whole entire masculinity has happened due to this film. This film has really pointed out the problems with masculinity. I could put it on with Fight Club. This film and Fight Club both talk about the problems with masculinity and why Hollywood loves masculinity. Yeah, these two films both describe how rigorous and purely insane Hollywood can be when it wants to show off men and women, because they do treat women very, very early 90s and 80s in this film, which involves a lot of sexism in the film, or from what I got. And yeah, he even talks to a poor guy like, oh, why don't you have a job and stuff. Like, that's very much, in my mind, I'm sorry, I'm going to get a little bit political. That is very much like pulling yourself up from the bootstraps, very conservative values of, like, no one's going to help you, you got to do it yourself. And I hated that mentality because no one can do anything by themselves. You all need help. And if you don't need help, then you don't need help. But I'm just saying not everyone has that ability. And that's the problems, and they talk about it. How they say, oh, but that's why I'm saying this one really spoke out to me. And if you want to watch for yourself, watch it on HBO Max. I highly recommend you watch it on HBO Max, because the ideas that this film talks about is super interesting, because no one really talks about it that much. No, I mean, I've seen memes about it, but no one makes it, but I've seen, like, everyone makes him like, oh, he's so stigmatized. So what I meant by putting on a mask is that he's mentally shielding everyone from what he is on the inside. He's putting on this macho, like, body armor to help him go on his day. And for me, I thought that was really impactful, because very little films tend to do that. A lot of films, that I've seen, alright? And this is just from what I've seen. But, yeah, I do think that this film is very interesting, and it very talks about stuff that should be talked about. Now, throughout the film, as you can see, it shatters a bit. His psyche tends to play with him. He tends to lose his grip on what's going on. And to me, I thought that was phenomenal, because I thought that was like, oh, so it's more to him than just an instrument. He's more human. He's more human instincts than before. And I thought that was really impactful, how that really showed his emotional side, his more side of, like, what's going on, why am I like this, and it's very interesting. I love the film for showing me that, and for showing how we all have issues, and how everyone puts on a mask, because how we act differently, in my mind, I act differently when I'm at home than when I'm at school. Like, my language changes, how I talk. I think everyone does that sometimes, because, like, when you're with your parents, you don't swear as much. And with your friends, you occasionally swear. That is what I think we all do. We all act differently. We all put on masks when we're with other people than when we're with our families. I really love this movie. This movie was really interesting, and great. I really liked that I was able to watch on, and it is on HBO Max. If you're wondering, I know I said that earlier. I just wanted to bring that up so in case anyone wanted to watch on their own time. And yeah, the film is really interesting. As for my next film I'm gonna be watching is a short. A short and I'm also doing another movie as well. This short film is made by William Curtis. I know him because we met at a CineQuest, and he sent me a link to the film. It's on YouTube. It's called Bedbugs. So I'm gonna watch it like really soon because I've heard really good things about it. So I'm gonna watch it and rewatch it until I come up with a really good video for it. And then my next one after that is gonna be Blonde, which talks about how Hollywood objectified Marilyn Monroe in ways that made everyone uncomfortable. And this movie's got a lot of backlash because everyone got really uncomfortable with it. And I thought that was really great because what I think is what's happening is that we've Disneyfied and made everything in Hollywood so magical and so amazing, and everyone called it backlash for painting everyone in a negative light. It's like, well, back then it wasn't so great. Like, we tend to look in the past with rose-colored glasses, and that's why I like this. That's why I like the blog, since it showed it without rose-colored glasses, which I have to rewatch the film to learn more about it. So my next two videos will take some time. As you see, this film took longer than I thought it would. This review took longer than I thought it would because I had so much to say and I had to edit and reshoot a whole lot. So I've been editing a whole lot. Sorry if I'm rambling. Nothing has happened. And yeah, I really like it that I'm really doing this channel. I really like that I found this niche of people. If you want to know, if you just want to watch more of my videos, you can do so. As you can see, they've gotten they've gotten way better. The Oscars are almost here, so I'll be watching a lot more Oscar films. Reviewing them. After Blonde, I'm probably going to do All Quiet, which is a really great movie, and yeah. Yeah, anything else? Well, there's probably a lot more I can talk about, but I think, yeah. That's been my review of American Psycho, and a little bit of preview into two other projects I am working on. And I just want to say, have a good year, make memories, do good in school, and, yeah, just don't just be good people. That's all I can say. Just be decent, hard working, just be people who set good examples for other people. Be prepared. Be prepared for whatever life throws at you.